Someone is completely filled with thoughts of you, and even now, when life says you cannot truly be with them, something inside you already knows this is not fake. It is not random. It is not your mind creating a story because it feels lonely. Take a slow breath and listen closely, because the person who just came into your mind did not appear there for no reason. There is a quiet bond here, deep, steady, hard to explain, harder to ignore. It is not a passing feeling. It is not a little crush that fades when the day gets busy. It stays. It lives under everything. They feel pulled toward you in a way that is strong, careful, and almost sacred, like an emotion they never planned to feel and still cannot fully shut down. But something stands between you. Something makes this connection feel blocked, almost forbidden, as if life itself placed a hand in front of the door. And once you understand why, every thought, every strange feeling, and every silent moment between you will start to make sense in a whole new way. Even with distance between you, someone out there is still deeply affected by you. Fully, quietly, constantly. This bond is alive, but it is not free to unfold the way it wants to right now. That is the painful part. And there are two truths inside this situation that you need to see clearly. Stay with me, because this is where everything starts to shift. If this message feels oddly personal, that is because it is touching something real. Sometimes the heart recognizes what the mind still tries to deny, and once that recognition begins, it becomes almost impossible to go back to not knowing. First, you need to understand something simple but powerful. When a connection feels limited, it does not mean it is weak. Very often it means the exact opposite. The strongest bonds are rarely born in easy moments. They do not appear because two people were bored. They do not rise from shallow attraction, empty loneliness, or a need for attention. They come from recognition, from something in one soul seeing something in another and feeling shaken by it. This person did not decide to fall for you. It happened little by little, and then all at once. At first you were simply someone they noticed, then someone they respected, then someone they trusted, and then somehow, without warning, you became the one they could not stop thinking about. What makes this difficult is not a lack of emotion. It is timing. It is life. It is duty, fear, pressure, history, family, promises, expectations, and the invisible rules people build around themselves. That is where the first truth appears. This person is dealing with an inner war because of what they feel for you. Not a war against you, a war inside themselves. They wake up with you on their mind, then quickly remind themselves why they should not go there. They replay old conversations and then criticize themselves for smiling. They imagine what it would feel like to be near you, and then they force those thoughts away because wanting you feels dangerous. Not dangerous to the heart, dangerous to the life they have built, the image they protect, the values they have tried to follow for years. Maybe they are already tied to someone. Maybe family, culture, distance, guilt, or responsibility stands in the way. Maybe one of you is simply not free. Whatever the reason, the feeling is real, but the road is blocked. Because of that, they hold back. They stay silent. They watch from a distance when every part of them wants to move closer. And this is what many people never understand. Silence does not always mean there are no feelings. Many times it means the feelings are too strong to manage. This person is not calm when it comes to you. They may look composed on the outside, but inside there is a storm they are trying very hard not to reveal. They do not speak because speaking could open something they fear they would never be able to close again. They do not step forward because one honest move might change everything. They do not get closer because closeness would expose truths they have hidden even from themselves. There is an old truth about the human heart. What a person tries hardest to bury often grows stronger in the dark. That is exactly what is happening here. Every time they try not to message you, the emotion deepens. Every time they pull away, the bond tightens. Every time they deny what is real, it sinks further into them instead of fading out. Buried feelings do not disappear, they gather force. That is why you sometimes feel their energy without seeing them. That is why they enter your thoughts when nothing around you should remind you of them. That is why your mood shifts without an obvious reason. Stay with this, because this part matters. Unspoken emotion has weight. It stays active. It lingers in the body, in memory, in the spaces between words. What is hidden keeps working from below the surface. And while the world may only see a quiet face, inside them there is constant tension, a pull in one direction and restraint in the other, desire followed by fear, longing followed by retreat. That inner fight is exhausting, and it is one reason this connection can feel so heavy, even when nothing direct is happening. You may wonder why the bond feels strong without clear action, why distance does not bring peace, why time does not seem to erase it. It is because both of you were changed by this meeting more than either of you expected. Once two people truly affect each other at a deep level, they do not walk away unchanged. Something inside shifts, permanently. You have already felt that shift. So have they, even if they have not admitted it out loud. This is not fantasy. It is not confusion. It is not just attraction dressed up as destiny. It is a real emotional event, and that is why it refuses to die like ordinary feelings do. Ordinary attraction fades when routine changes. This does not. It keeps breathing because it matters. There is no game here, no power play, no one trying to win. That is why it feels so strange. It is simply two people touched by something bigger than what they were prepared for, trying to fit it into lives that were built before this feeling arrived. And now one thing becomes painfully clear. You are not a distraction to this person. You are not a mistake. You are not someone easily replaced by the next pretty face or the next easy connection. You became part of a deeper story the moment this bond took root. A story that is pushing both of you toward more honesty than you expected. Keep listening, because the meaning of this restricted love is only beginning to show itself. Sometimes a bond enters your life not to comfort your old self, but to wake up the self you were meant to become. And when that begins, things do not stay neat, they get real. As this sinks in, another truth becomes impossible to miss. This connection does not behave like ordinary attraction. It does not weaken just because there is space between you. It does not disappear because logic says it should. It does not fade simply because it would be easier if it did. Instead, it follows both of you quietly, like a shadow made from what happened the moment your lives touched. Even when you are busy, even when you are focused on other things, even when you tell yourself to move on, this person returns to your mind without effort, not because you are forcing it, because something unfinished keeps rising, and the same thing is happening on their side. They may look fine, busy, stable, focused on work, family, routine and responsibilities, but the mind circles back to what it cannot resolve. They remember how deeply understood they felt with you. They remember how easy it was to be themselves around you. They remember the calm, the recognition, the strange sense that they had known you longer than they should have. They remember moments that carried more meaning than either of you said out loud. And that is exactly what unsettles them. Once a person feels truly seen, they cannot erase that experience. This is where many people misunderstand distance. They think someone keeps space because the feeling is small, but often the truth is harsher and deeper. Sometimes people create distance because the feeling is too big. They know that one honest step closer could change their whole life, and they do not know if they are ready for what comes after. So they choose control. They choose the life they know. They choose the structure already in place over the truth pressing against it. But every choice has a cost. When real emotion is pushed down, it does not vanish. It turns into restlessness, inner distraction, quiet sadness, and the painful sense that something important is missing. This is why they may start questioning things in their own life that once felt solid. A relationship that once seemed fine may suddenly feel empty. A life path that once looked safe may now feel too small. Old answers stop bringing peace. They may never say your name during those moments, but you become a silent measure inside them. You begin to represent honesty, aliveness, and emotional truth, the very things they have not fully allowed themselves to live. That is why this bond feels unfinished. It is not only about two people missing each other, it is about two lives standing near a turning point. And you feel this too. Since this person entered your world, your standards have changed, quietly, deeply. What you can accept in love no longer feels the same. Connections that once seemed good enough may now feel flat. Half-hearted attention does not satisfy you like before. Shallow attraction loses its shine. You now know what real depth feels like, and that awareness changes everything. It did not come from nowhere, it came from recognition. And this leads to the next layer of meaning. This bond is not only about wanting someone, it is about waking up inside. Some relationships are meant to become a shared life. Others come to awaken parts of you that were sleeping. This one is doing that right now. Maybe it becomes more one day, maybe it does not, but its first purpose is already happening within you. You met this person at the exact moment something inside you was ready to move, and they met you when they were already starting, in secret, to question the life they had been living. That is why the pull feels so strong and so confusing at the same time. You mirror hidden parts of each other. You bring buried truths to the surface. This kind of bond does not rush. It works slowly, quietly. It changes your values, your choices, and your idea of what really matters. If this feels intense, that is because real change often does. So now you may ask the question that hurts the most. Why is letting go so hard? Why does thinking your way out of it not work? Why does telling yourself nothing can happen fail to bring real freedom? Because this bond is not being kept alive by fantasy alone. It is being kept alive by truth that has not fully been lived yet. And once truth has been deeply felt, it cannot simply be thrown away. You are not only holding on to a person, you are holding on to the feeling of emotional clarity they brought into your life, a feeling that changed you, and they are going through something very similar, whether they admit it or not. But listen carefully, because this matters. This does not mean you should pause your whole life and wait forever. It does not mean you should build your future around a maybe. It does not mean you should sacrifice your peace for silent hope. It means you should understand what this connection is here to teach. It is showing you how deeply your heart can feel. It is showing you the kind of love that adds energy instead of draining it. It is showing you that what is real does not always arrive in convenient packaging. And it is showing them the same thing. What happens next cannot be forced. It cannot be created through longing alone. It cannot be rushed by silence or by chasing. Bonds like this only open fully when honesty becomes stronger than fear. Until then, they remain in between, not gone, not complete. Alive in thought, alive in feeling, alive in quiet moments when truth speaks softly. Over time, the pressure between who they have been and who they are becoming will keep growing. And the same is happening in you. A person who has truly awakened cannot return to sleep forever. At some point, something must change. Not because emotion demands drama, but because truth asks for alignment. And alignment, once it begins calling your name, becomes harder and harder to ignore. For them, this change may start as a quiet crack in the life they built. The roles they once played easily begin to feel heavy. Duties they once accepted without question start to feel like limits. Old emotional habits lose their comfort, even if everything still looks normal from the outside. You are not the cause of that crack. You are the light that revealed it. You did not ruin their world. You simply showed them what was already out of place. That is why this connection feels risky to them. Not because it threatens survival, but because it threatens the story they have been telling themselves about who they are and what their life is supposed to be. Comfortable lives are often held together by carefully protected illusions. Truth asks more. It asks for courage. It asks for responsibility. It asks whether a person is ready to live what they feel instead of hiding behind what looks acceptable. Many are not ready the first time that question arrives, so they delay. They tell themselves it is just a phase. They call it imagination. They say it will disappear if they stay busy enough. But deep connections do not fade through avoidance. They turn into pressure, quiet pressure, the kind that builds until it can no longer stay buried. This is why you may feel waves from them. Moments of emotional closeness followed by sudden distance. Times when they seem present and then quickly step back. Times when you feel them deeply, even without a single word. That push and pull does not always mean confusion about you. More often it means conflict inside them. They are standing at the edge between who they were trained to be and who they are slowly becoming. And on your side, something equally important is happening. You are learning to see with more truth, to feel the difference between emotional intensity and real alignment, to notice the difference between surface attraction and true connection. And that lesson is priceless. This bond did not come into your life to destroy you or keep you trapped. It came to bring light into your deeper self. You may already notice that shallow attention no longer excites you the same way. You may feel less interested in proving your worth to people who only offer half of themselves. You may be less willing to shrink yourself just to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. That is not random. That is growth. This connection is teaching you self-respect in a quiet but permanent way. It is showing you what emotional resonance feels like, even before the relationship becomes complete. And once you have felt that quality of being seen, you cannot pretend it does not matter. That is why this connection feels so rare. Rare does not mean perfect. It does not mean easy. It does not promise a guaranteed ending. But it does mean it carries real meaning, no matter what form the future takes. Whether this bond becomes a lasting relationship or remains unfinished forever, a major part of its purpose is already complete. It has strengthened your emotional awareness. It has sharpened your inner voice. It has shown you what truly matters in love, and it has done the same in them. That is why neither of you can simply walk away as if nothing happened. Maybe you ask why the timing had to be so hard, why it appeared when it could not fully unfold. But timing is not always punishment. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes two people meet not to be together immediately, but to grow enough to one day meet without hiding, without fear, without old wounds silently controlling everything. Right now, both of you are being called into something deeper than wanting. They are being asked whether they can live honestly, even if honesty changes everything. You are being asked whether you can honor yourself even while the answer remains incomplete. Stay with me, because this next part can change the way you carry this whole connection. Patience matters here, but not the kind of patience that freezes your life and stares at the door. Not the kind that lives on crumbs and calls it hope. Real patience is different. It is rooted in trust. It says, I will keep growing. I will keep living. I will not stop becoming myself while life reveals what is true. You are not meant to sit still in longing. You are not meant to keep rereading signs until you forget your own center. You are meant to move forward, choose with awareness, and keep building a full life. If this bond is truly meant to grow into something lasting, it will only happen when both of you can meet fully, openly, and honestly, without hidden parts, without emotional half measures, without fear running the whole story. And if it never becomes a shared life, it still will not have been meaningless. Its effect remains. It has already changed the direction of your heart. Many people spend their whole lives in relationships that look safe but feel empty inside. They choose comfort over truth, routine over aliveness, approval over authenticity. You did not. You met something strong enough to challenge your old patterns, expose your deepest fears, and call for real growth. That alone makes this bond different from most of what people call love. In time, clarity will come, not by forcing it, not by waiting in pain, but by living truthfully enough that the answer can no longer stay hidden. People either grow toward what is real or retreat into what is easy. Both paths reveal themselves through choices, actions, and the natural movement of life. You will not need to chase the answer forever. It will show itself. Until then, trust what this bond has already given you. It has given you awareness. And once true awareness wakes up, nothing stays exactly the same. That can feel scary, but it is also where your power begins. Because real strength is not in controlling the outcome. It is in becoming too honest with yourself to live beneath your own truth ever again. As that awareness deepens, a quieter and stronger shift begins. You stop trying to force this connection into tidy labels. You stop demanding instant explanations for why it exists. Instead, you begin to listen to what it is awakening in you. That is where your power returns. The hardest part of a complicated bond is often not the missing. It is the way people lose themselves trying to explain every pause, decode every silence, and fix what was never theirs to control. But you are starting to step out of that. You are noticing how steady you feel when you choose yourself, how calm you become when you stop searching for tiny signs, how much clearer life looks when you stop making their every move the center of your emotional world. That shift is bigger than it looks. At first, this bond may have pulled you in through longing, but now it is teaching you something far more lasting. It is teaching you how to remain whole. Real connection does not ask you to disappear inside confusion. Real love does not demand that pain become proof. Deep feeling is not the same as endless suffering. That lesson will stay with you whether this person walks beside you one day or not. Meanwhile, on their side, the pressure keeps building. While you begin turning the lesson into wisdom, they may still be in the middle of resistance. They feel the growing gap between the self that follows rules and the self that feels alive when thoughts of you rise up. That gap cannot stay hidden forever. People can postpone conversations. They can avoid decisions. They can distract themselves with duties and noise. But eventually they must face themselves in the quiet, and the quiet is where truth gets loud. If this message is still hitting something deep inside you, that is not by accident. Stay with this feeling. Sometimes what you cannot explain is exactly what you need to respect. Before this energy fully settles, there is one more thing you need to remember. You do not have to figure out every detail today. You do not need to force a final meaning out of every sign, every dream, every return of their memory. What matters is what this bond is already revealing. It is showing you where you have been settling. It is showing you what your heart actually responds to. It is showing you the difference between attachment and truth, between emotional noise and soul-level recognition. That alone is life-changing. And if they are meant to meet you in the open one day, that meeting will come through readiness, not pressure. Through truth, not fantasy. Through courage, not hidden longing alone. Until then, keep your dignity, keep your light, keep your life moving. Let this bond refine you, not reduce you. Let it deepen your standards, not weaken your peace. Let it remind you that what is real can be quiet and still powerful, distant and still alive, unfinished and still deeply meaningful. Some connections enter your life to become your forever. Others come to awaken the part of you that was waiting to live more truthfully. And sometimes the most sacred bonds do both, just not all at once. So do not fear the silence. Do not fear the slow unfolding. Do not fear the fact that this still matters. Just keep becoming the version of you that no longer abandons itself for uncertainty. Because in the end, the answer will not arrive only through words. It will arrive through who each of you becomes. And when that moment comes, whether it brings union or closure, it will carry clarity, clean, honest, undeniable. Until then, trust this. What touched you this deeply was never meaningless, and what awakened your heart this strongly was never small.